Good morning. Welcome to your stories for the second week of October 2021. Well, about a year after VW introduced its ID.3 electric vehicle, the automaker reports over 144,000 orders to date, with about 50% of those buyers switching brands. That compares to a new switch rate of about 36% for the rest of VW's vehicles. In the first half of 2021, 26% of all battery electric cars registered in Western Europe came from the VW group, and in August the ID.3 beat all other EV registrations. Interestingly, about 70% of the owners still charge exclusively with green electricity from rooftop solar, despite the fact that the charging network's being built out. And although the car will be launched in China this fall, no North America launch is yet planned. Sticking with mobility, Chinese company BYD and Levo Mobility announced they'll join forces to integrate Nuvve's vehicle-to-grid technology with a variety of commercial, public transport, and heavy-duty battery electric vehicles from BYD. The goal is to deploy as many as 5,000 vehicles in fleets over the coming half-decade. Levo Mobility is a JV between V2G company Nuvve and private equity firm Stonepeak, and they now have a preferred financing partnership with BYD to acquire 5,000 V2G-equipped vehicles. These will include transit buses and coaches, school buses, yard tractors, garbage trucks, and last-mile delivery vehicles. This will also involve a fleet-as-a-service leasing approach, with customers paying a fixed monthly payment and zero upfront costs. And staying on that transportation track, GM will build a new battery cell innovation center in its Global Technical Center in Warren, Michigan, focused on development and production of its next-gen Ultium cells. GM plans to accelerate development of new battery technologies such as lithium metal, silicon, and solid state, with much higher densities, as well as the associated manufacturing techniques. GM will coordinate with its battery partners in this center, hoping to reach its goal of cutting costs by 60% with the next-generation Ultium battery. And GM plans to support this effort with creation of a, quote, data farm to use artificial intelligence in battery development, integrating all battery-related processes inside and outside the lab into a, quote, single giant cloud. It is expected to be operational by mid-2022. Meanwhile, Stellantis, the merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group, is making some moves in the direction of electromobility itself, announcing that its Jeep Grand Cherokee SUV will be offered as a plug-in hybrid in North America for the first time early next year. It'll have a 17 kilowatt-hour battery. Relative to the bold moves made recently by Ford and GM, Stellantis may have some catching up to do. Switching to the power grid, North Carolina lawmakers reached a very rare bipartisan compromise on a large energy bill that includes electric sector emissions reduction goals that would see 70% cuts from 2005 levels by 2030. Not everybody was happy with all aspects of the bill, especially around Duke's ability to set future rates and its continued monopoly position. A request to open markets to competition had been bandied about but was not included in the final bill. Another interesting state-level move, Maine's Governor Janet Mills submitted a plan to the feds for a 15-square-mile area to be permitted 20 miles off Maine's coast for siting up to 12 floating wind turbines. Maine has jumped out ahead in U.S.-based R&D in floating wind, and it's even put a test turbine out in the waters offshore. And in 2020, the University of Maine announced plans to work with Mitsubishi subsidiary Diamond Offshore Wind and German energy firm RWE to develop a full-size floating turbine in the 10 to 12 megawatt range. Well, in the financial sector, Moody's reports different banking sectors have varying vulnerabilities with respect to climate change. That part's not a surprise. We've all known that. But it noted that climate risk is likely to have a major influence on banks' loan quality, with losses as much as 20% higher under extreme climate scenarios. And finally last week, the world's top mining companies committed to a goal of net zero direct and indirect carbon emissions by 2050 or earlier, the International Council on Mining and Metals said. 28 mining heads signed an open letter committing to this goal. These companies represent about 1/3 of the global mining and metals industry. So while 1/3 have joined together and made that commitment, that means there are still a large number of unaccompanied miners out there. Yep, I said it. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.